Okay, jump right in. Say that you are a food delivery person and you go up to deliver to somebody's house to deliver their order, and you see somebody else had just left an order there and was walking back to, say, his car. And so you get out and you start to walk toward it, and you see this person had left their order on top of a dirty welcome mat. And it's not only dirty, it's wet. Okay. Now, both of those things happen and can happen. Now, you're going to put yours where it's dry. And, I mean, if there's anything you can put on top of, yeah, but, outside nothing's going to be perfectly clean. But you're not going to set it on something wet. Because you think about it and say it's a carton for pizza. It's made out of cardboard, or it's a bag of hamburgers or something, and it's made in the bag. It's made out of paper. It's a paper sack. Whatever it is, how appealing would it be to have it put on a welcome mat where people wash their dirty feet, wipe their dirty feet off? That's wet too. Okay, now, that's as a delivery driver, you might think, well, what am I going to do? You see that order sitting there, and you're about to deliver yours. You're going to put yours in a clean spot. But will you think deeper and say, now that customer's going to open that door, and they're going to be livid when they see, they might be, and when they see that sitting there like that on a wet, dirty welcome mat. Okay, do you think whenever they go in and they're livid, they're angry, and they're going to write up a bad review, do you think they're going to remember which one? Or do you think they're even going to look to see? Or they're going to wind up giving you a bad review, and maybe not the person that they should, or both of you? Will you think that deeply about it? Will you think, maybe I should move it off the dirty welcome mat? Just push to the side, in a clean spot. Do you think of terms of customer service, and that's what you would want? You would want the person to do? If the other person made a mistake, you would want them to correct it? Or would you have the attitude of, hey, it's not my business, it's not my order? Okay, how do you see it? Does it matter how you would want it to happen if it were something delivered to your home? Do you think like that? Do unto others. Okay? Now, what are your own thoughts of it? Would you think deeper, or are you just going to put it down and walk off? And maybe you put it right there on top of the welcome mat too, because they did. What kind of attitude are you going to have about it? What if that person is still kind of walking? Would you say something to them about it? And we all know people can be dangerous. And some people, man, you tell them they're wrong about something. Oh my. I've seen that. I have definitely seen that. Not like this situation, but, you let some people, you even try to help them and say, hey, this actually happened to me. I told a woman that I worked with at an office, it was 3 of us there, a male boss, me and her, and she was walking toward she was actually walking back from his office, and I pulled her, called her over, and I told her that her skirt was in the back of her hose. That does happen. And she was angry. I kind of understand that, but she should not have been angry at me. But this happens. When somebody's angry, it can happen. It doesn't always, none of this always, but it can happen. It can happen. So what were you going to do? Would you even think about it? Like I said, or just put it there and walk off. And then get mad if they don't give you a tip, or they take the tip back, or whatever. Okay, there's one. Okay, another part of this. So when you got there and that guy was walking back, had delivered before you, was walking back to his car, her SUV, whatever, SUV usually. Although I've seen a lot of cars, the gray sedans, that's all, before. But you're walking toward the door, and there's no breeze. Okay, when the guy just passed by there, you wait till he passed yours where you were parked, and you get out and no breeze, and you're walking toward the door, and you smell something. It smells funky. Oof, out there, and you wonder, was that guy? But you did see how he was dressed, and he was dressed pretty shabby. Overall, didn't look like he was very clean. His hair looked, was kind of long and looked dirty, but kind of oily. You know what I'm saying? They just, somebody who just doesn't look clean. And, okay, would you say something? To him, probably not. I wouldn't. But I don't ever tell anybody what to do or not do, because like I said before, people can be dangerous. But are you the type that would report it? Would you think deeper about it and say, well, no, I'm not going to do that? Would you do anything? Because you do have to think, even though it's a very small scale, but more people who are out there like that, who pick up and delivery, do pickups, and then they do these things wrong all around. Are they helping the business, the delivery business? Or are they the ones that's causing you, people who are causing people not to get good tips? I mean, after all, you got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. Okay, the customer opens the door, they might be able to smell that funky smell, and they're sitting, one of their orders sitting on a filthy, wet welcome mat, and you as a customer, let's say you as a customer, just paid how many fees? 2 fees plus a tip to get that order. You basically, in some orders, it's double the price. And this is what you get? This is the kind of service you get? Would you think that deeply? Would you, now back as the delivery driver, would you report them? As a customer, would you report them? Okay, now what about the restaurant? Yeah, let's think about the restaurant that guy went to. Say he went in there, maybe it was a fast food and they weren't really paying attention. They were just trying to get the orders out for ASAP. But when somebody smells, you know what I'm saying? And they look filthy, but would they even bother? Would they even know? Would they even think about it? Okay. What if it's a family-owned and operated kind of thing, and it's not a chain, and they're not that big, they're not so swamped that they can't stop, and then they smell this, and their restaurant has this bad odor, and the people in the restaurant look over at this delivery guy and say, you're one of the customers there, and you look over at this delivery guy, you're not a delivery person anymore in this scene. You look over there, and you see this delivery guy, and you're thinking, he comes up there and he says, I'm picking up an order. This order, I'm going to go deliver it. He's real, rough, and he's all filthy looking, and his hair is all dirty, and, dressed shabbily. What would you think? Would you go back to that restaurant? No, seriously. You see that's the kind of people, and you don't know, you're no longer a food delivery person, you're just a regular customer. Would you stop and think that that person who's picking up to deliver is not an employee? Wouldn't you think they are an employee of that store, that restaurant, somebody who's working there? And would you go as far as to think, ooh, they have people like that working there? And is that just a sign, a representative, representation of what's going on behind the scenes in the kitchen? You know what I'm saying? Would you think past what, just the appearance itself is bad enough, but would you think deeper? What about the people who run in a restaurant? Okay, what are they going to do? Somebody comes up there to pick up an order, and it's, the smell, the odor, the attitude. What if the person has, food delivery people get this bad attitude, not this bad attitude, but they have this bad reputation of shoving the their cell phone up in the person's face, the employee's face, and say, I'm picking this up. I mean, come on. But what, as a person there, would you do? Would you say something like, oh, that order's already been picked up. You're like the third or fourth person who's come to try to pick it up. Doesn't it sound like a line? Doesn't it sound kind of like what they're told to do, to say? Maybe by the companies themselves, the delivery companies. Personally, I wouldn't lie for a business like that. I'm not in the business to lie for people. No, but I mean, I don't know how else you would say it, really. If you work somewhere and you tell the person, no, I'm not going to let you carry the order because of the way you're dressed and the way you smell. I'm not going to let you represent our business. Now, that might cause you a lot of problems. People can be dangerous. So they have to have some kind of a solution when they don't want somebody representing their business that is filthy, smells bad, looks like they haven't showered or anything. They have to have some kind of way to say, you're not touching our food. You're not touching our bag. Would you even trust that person to get the food all there without tasting it? Without dipping their hands, if it's a, restaurant, if it's a fast food that has some French fries, that they might take a few? Something like that. I mean, we've heard these stories. And actually, go research, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but if you feel like it, research it. What percentage? How often does that happen? Real actual researchers, not just people who have, put videos on videos online on social media platforms and said, we're going to do research. You're not researchers. And they're not researchers. They don't know how to do it. It's not just you just count. Nope, that's not how it works. As a trained researcher, that's not how it works. Period. So, full stop. And speaking of, full stop.